What am I, a hack?
I think it needs more weed.
Hey everybody, welcome back to Let's Talk. I'm John and this is Matt, and we just got back from seeing Clerks 3 on the Clerks 3 Convenience Tour. So this is going to be our Clerks 3 review. But before we dive into that, if you are a fan of movie reviews, 4K Blu-ray reviews, tech reviews, game reviews, we try to do them all here on the channel, and nothing helps out more than by liking this video and subscribing to the channel. So as you can see, me and Matt are pretty big Clerks fans. We actually went and saw this on the Convenience Tour at the Beacon Theater in Manhattan. So we're seeing this a little earlier before it hits theaters, and we're going to give you our thoughts on the film itself. But I think one thing we have to note right out of the gate is it's a little biased in a way, because we saw this with a bunch of Kevin Smith fans. Well, you know, he did a Q&A. Kevin Smith was there. He brought out Jay Muse. So it's kind of
the one and only Jason.
So it's kind of like a big deal for us to actually have seen it. So we're trying not to be as biased as possible, because when you guys see it, you might not see it on the Convenience Tour. You might actually see it in theaters or at home.
Right. So it was more of an experience. So it's not a normal movie theater. We went to the Beacon Theater in Manhattan, New York City, and they converted. It's basically an opera house, or maybe plays and stuff there. I've never been there before, but it's a grand room and really nice place. You know, a place of culture and art that I'm not used to.
Yeah, no, we never went there. The only plays I've ever seen it were at high schools when
right.
they put on the school plays. You know, me and Matt are not very cultured, unfortunately.
Right. So Kevin Smith himself will come out on stage. He bullshits for a few minutes and says, "Enjoy the movie." He throws the movie on, and he was telling us that he watches us watch the movie, because he stands behind the screen. He can see through it, and him and all the guests he brought, they watch us watch the movie, and he's looking for the laughs, he's looking for the emotion, and he's just reading the room. And as the filmmaker, that's what he enjoyed the most out of it, just being able to see everyone enjoy what he brought to us. And then after the movie's over, he comes out on stage, and he ended up bringing Jay Muse with him, Brian O'Halloran, who is Dante Hicks, the Chulies gum guy, I forget his name, and then the girl
from the first one, they brought her back,
who sucks 37 dicks.
Yeah, and she actually, it's funny, she looked good. Because she's not the greatest of actresses. I don't think she's a professional actress, because the whole thing with Clerks was he really cast all his buddies and anyone he thought. I think she might have got the job. I heard a story from one of them were able to cry, and then they just got the job instantly. It was cool. They brought everybody out for the for the Q&A at the end. Like Matt said, Kevin Smith introduced the movie, and that was actually really cool, because he talked about 40 minutes about just knowing George Carlin, and I'm a huge George Carlin fan, so I enjoyed that part almost more than I enjoyed the movie, just hearing all the stories about George Carlin, how nice of a guy he is. He talked about getting him for Dogma, which is my favorite of his movies, and he's like, I love the script. He's like, but I feel like I wrote half of it. And I thought that was great. He's like, there's paying homage, and then there's actual theft, Kevin.
Yeah.
So I was dying. I thought that was hysterical, because if you know George Carlin, he's just one of the best. So hearing him tell all those stories was perfect. And then the movie started, and the movie itself, I thought was really good.
Yeah, it was a great movie. It's I guess a great end to the trilogy.
Although he did say,
and he did mention that there probably is a Clerks 4 in the works, and a very long time from now, I assume. He did mention he was teasing us. I don't know if it'll actually happen, because I know he's working on Twilight of the Mallrats right now.
Yeah, he basically explained that. So, just to give a brief synopsis on the movie, we'll just go from the trailer. Randall has a heart attack, and his life flashes before his eyes, and he's decided, you know what? I've done nothing with my life. I'm going to finally do something for me that is going to make me happy. And he decides he's going to make a movie about his life working at a convenience store and working with Dante. Essentially what they're setting out to do is make Clerks. That's the big thing of this movie, is paying homage or just paying tribute to the original Clerks. I feel like they kind of did a stopgap with Clerks 2. This feels very much like a direct sequel to Clerks, other than having Elias back from Clerks 2.
Right.
And, Rosario Dawson. It feels like Clerks 2 almost didn't happen in a way, and this is more about paying homage and tribute to the original Clerks and everything that Kevin Smith had to go through making Clerks.
Well, it definitely didn't erase Clerks 2 at all.
No. It didn't erase Clerks 2 in any way. It just felt more to me like the original Clerks.
Yes.
You know, this takes place mostly at the Quick Stop, uses a lot of the same shots, without spoiling anything, it plays an amazing homage to the original with really a lot of heart, a lot of comedy. It really feels just like, and they shot this in New Jersey. Kevin Smith said this is the first movie he's shot in New Jersey since the original Clerks, fully. Like, did this all on location. He got a lot of the same actors back. And it feels like a family-made story and very much like just a love letter to Clerks and everything Kevin Smith had to go through. Just so much heart in this film. And I'll be honest, I got emotional watching it. And I feel like if you're invested in these characters, you will too. Because the acting itself, just like in the original Clerks, it's not the greatest. No one's going to ever accuse anybody of being an amazing... Although, I will say, Brian O'Halloran, this is by far his best performance in any of the 3 Clerks movies. So he did a great job. And I always thought Jeff Anderson was pretty good.
Jeff Anderson's awesome.
Yeah.
I love Randall.
Yeah, and you know, these guys have really only acted in the Kevin Smith movies, so to see them in here doing their thing again, it's always great. And they address some of the issues that people have complaints about with the Clerks movies, like in the sense that Jeff Anderson's Randall is kind of a dick. You know, and you know, they kind of finally address the fact that, yeah, you know what, you're a fucking asshole. Someone has to finally call you out on it. It's like I have to call Matt out on his bullshit like constantly.
Maybe. But yeah, I mirror a lot of what John said. I really enjoyed the movie. I had a great time. I'm a huge Kevin Smith fan. I actually ended up in the merchandise area. I got a autographed lunchbox from Kevin Smith that he actually signed there.
That's awesome. Is that from the Clerks animated series?
Yes, this is the animated series.
Oh, that's awesome. Which somebody asked the question if they're going to bring that back. He said he's working on it.
There's nothing inside it.
Yeah.
You know, it's a nice little collector's item now. Autographed by the man himself.
That's pretty awesome. And speaking of questions that were asked of him, somebody asked, he pretty much said the reason why these movies get funded for like $8 billion or less is because people like me and Matt and the community like you guys who buy his Blu-rays.
Yeah, he specifically mentioned the Jay and Silent Bob reboot.
The amount that they had, Lionsgate had on the sales of those Blu-rays made them, they called him up, he's like, you guys got any more of this Jay and Silent Bob shit? He's like, yeah, I got plenty of it. He's like, if you could do this again, we'll give you an $8 million budget for all of them. So basically, he's found this way to distribute his movies, just take them on the road. This one's got distribution rights from Lionsgate, so that's the same thing I believe as, I think it was Yoga Hosers or Jay and Silent Bob, and A24 at Tusk. So he doesn't really work with major studios anymore. And it's pretty cool to see him just take them on the road.
Right. Yeah.
So, you know, I really hope that they continue to do this, and this is the best way to experience this film.
Hands down, it is an experience, because not only are you watching the movie, you're not so much meeting the actors, but they're right there on stage, and we had pretty great seats. It's an experience more than just going to see a movie. You know?
Yeah, you're going to definitely... It's just, Matt put it to me because he has done this before, as it's like seeing a Marvel movie, and it's very much like that. Everyone's cheering when the big people pop up in his universe that he set up. When you see them on screen, like, you know, I'm sure you know the actors if you're a fan of all the Clerks movies or anything in the View Askew universe. When they pop up, the crowd pops. You know, everybody knows it. Like, even
and you feel the energy in the room. And like when Randall popped on the screen, because he wasn't in the last movie, because you said something that had to do with
Miramax and paying him
and money issues. So he comes on the screen, the whole auditorium went crazy just to see Randall Graves walk out of the video store, the whatever store, and just, you know, it was so cool. And then when Brian will have Dante's cleaning the gum out of the locks, like, it's just the attention to detail, the backs, like the gum in the locks. Jay says, we've been putting gum in the lock for 25 years.
Yeah,
and it's great. Kevin Smith, he was all about his universe and the fan service, and we loved it.
Kevin Smith is a huge inspiration on me personally, just on his story of how he made Clerks, because if you guys know anything about me and Matt, us starting this channel is kind of like a risk like he making Clerks. Like, we put our money into
not as big, but
no, he did $27,000 and maxed out credit cards. I mean, we put all of our movies on credit cards that we buy, that we review on this channel to try and help it grow. So to see, and he tells it, like, everybody, like, you know, don't wait on your dreams, like, do it now, and like, this is what we want to do for a living eventually. So it's an inspiration for us to see that, you can make it if you try. It's not a guarantee, but it's worth the risk. So I find him very inspiring, and I find this movie to have a lot of heart. It got me emotionally. Is it his greatest film, though? And you can't get wrapped up in being in this setting. I feel like if we saw this at a regular theater, I don't know if this film would crack my top 5 of all time for him. I don't think it's the best of the Clerks movies. I think the first Clerks is still better, but I do think this is better than Clerks 2. I know you're a very big fan of Clerks 2, so it's going to fall a little different.
Yeah, I mean, Clerks 2 is one of the funniest movies, I think, in his wheelhouse. And there was humor in this one. It's definitely funny for sure. But it's, you're not touching Clerks 2 as far as the comedic stuff. This is definitely his most emotional, it has the most heartwarming. He was tugging on your heartstrings with this one.
Yeah, and it's a very personal movie to him. Obviously the heart attack thing with Randall really is literally what happened to him. You get your life flashed, when something like that happens to you, it gives you a new lease on life. Like, he had a 20% chance. It's called a Widowmaker heart attack. Kevin Smith had the same exact heart attack. You have a 20% chance of surviving that. It's called a Widowmaker for a reason, because it's going to make somebody a goddamn widow. And, Randall has the same thing, and yeah, they'll give somebody a new lease on life who's just coasting through and, did nothing that whole time. And it's just a nice story with a lot of homage to, this is not a movie you can go in and just say, I'm going to go pop in and see Clerks 3. I haven't seen any of his other movies. You'll get nothing out of it, I feel like.
Yeah, you should definitely almost go through the entire backlog of Kevin Smith stuff before you even get here. Just that will get you the most out of it. And I would even suggest listening to some of his podcasts like Fat Man Beyond and Hollywood Babylon, because he even puts those guys in there, Ralph Garman and Mark Bernard, and also even in the beginning of the movie, a deep cut Kevin Smith comic book man. That's been off the air for a while now, and all the comic book men were up on the roof of the Quick Stop playing hockey in the beginning.
Yeah, you're going to want to pay attention to just lines they drop. This is if you're just a fan of the original Clerks or any of his movies, there's people that pop up that you might not even expect to pop up just from the original, because he got a lot of people around New Jersey. So I would totally recommend, before you see this, watch Clerks 1 100%. But definitely, if you can and you have the time, watch all of You Askew movies. You're going to want to watch Clerks 1 and 2, because the trilogy, this is definitely the completion of the trilogy. It's very well made. I thought it was a really solid movie, a lot of fun. The cinematography was great. It's very much set. The film itself is very much set up for an audience setting, because they kind of leave moments like in Spider-Man No Way Home. When we first see Andrew Garfield, there's moments set up in the film for a pause, for a reaction from the crowd. This movie has the same stuff. So it might seem a little out of place in a theater with 3 people, but if you go and catch this on the Clerks 3 convenience tour, I think you'll have a better time. Definitely a great experience, so that's the way we recommend for sure seeing this film.
It is the absolute best way to see it. And then, speaking of Spider-Man, when I watched the 4K of Spider-Man No Way Home, what was it, No Way Home? That's the one with all 3 of them?
Yep.
Yeah, when I watched that at home by myself, it was like, I wish I had a couple hundred random strangers in here right now going crazy. But, it's an experience. It's a once-in-a-lifetime thing, unless you follow them on the road and go through all of them. But, if it's coming to your town, we'll have John put up
I'll put up a graphic.
Put up the graphic with all the dates and stuff. Obviously, a couple have passed. But he's going everywhere. He's got like 40 or 50 something stops, or maybe 60.
I think he said 49 to 60 or 49 to 50 dates or something like that.
The reboot was like 60. He did like 60 stops with that. So it's, again, he's putting it out there. He wants you to come see it. It is a little bit pricey, but it is an experience.
Yeah, I think we paid $75 for tickets. We sat like 8 rows back, and it was totally worth the price of admission. I thought it was great. I would have paid more, honestly. I mean, given they got us at the convenience, me and my wife got a drink, and it cost us about $60. So, it was almost as much as a ticket. But it was, honestly though, great drink. So they did a good job. I don't know if it was worth $30, but it was a good drink.
New York City is very expensive. Yeah,
but it was so much fun. It was a night that we'll never forget, and we can recommend it to you. I gave it an 8 out of 10. What would you give this?
I think I'm going to mirror that 8 out of 10.
Alright, so it's from the Let's Talk guys. It's an 8 out of 10. It's a recommendation. Catch it on the road if you can. If not, it comes to theaters on Tuesday, September 13th with an eventual Blu-ray release. And I'm sure
pre-order that Blu-ray.
Yeah, because if we know anything, that might get lost because only Matt has all of his movies. I can't find them. I'm gonna have to spend a lot of money. So definitely support him if you can.
Support your artist.
Yeah, if you're a fan, check this one out. If not, I can understand. This is just a recommendation from us. And as always, guys, please make sure you like, share, and subscribe, and tell all your friends.